Oh, we are back. The championship is back. Birmingham won, Ipswich won. Nothing controversial to talk about. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. That feels better, doesn't it, Dave? 76 days, I asked Google, between the playoff final. With my EFL hat on, covering that playoff final with Sunderland and the football being back. And we've got plenty to talk about. Normally, I make some notes. I don't have a script tonight, Dave. I don't need one. Welcome.
What a great first game back for the podcast. That's all I can say. Great first game. Plenty to talk about. Plenty of incident. And as we said in the green room before, pretty much 10 years to the day that me and you sat describing us conceded two late goals, actually, if you can recall that all that way back. But yeah, good to have it back.
Yeah, very much so. Welcome, Joe, and welcome everybody in the chat. Joe, you were there at St Andrews as well. Nice quiet one to tee us off for 25-26.
Yeah, lively atmosphere, which
oh yeah,
quieting down at one point, but then got back going again there. But no, it was good to turn up to a ground, an away game, where it doesn't just feel like they're just waiting to beat you and they actually care. They actually want to win, because most games last year, Ipswich Town was not exciting. It was not a big deal. It was just something that was to be swatted away like a fly, even though our away record was quite good and there wasn't really much decent home support, because I guess they didn't really care enough about it. So it was nice to be back into an atmosphere like that.
Yeah, very, very much so. Welcome, everybody, to the 25-26 season, the first flagship show. Welcome you lot in the comments. I can tell at around minute 9 of this one and at about minute 93, the comments are going to light up here and we're going to get plenty of opinion on a couple of fun decisions. But Dave, they joke, don't they, about the balls being left on the radiators for draws, and this was very leaky, but this was the game everybody wanted for round one, wasn't it?
I think it was. There was a couple of games, wasn't there, really? Us again, Birmingham against us, the tail, us relegated Birmingham winning League One with record number of 111 points. And even the other game, Southampton, Wrexham, even that had a bit to it as well, didn't it? So, when it came out, I think everybody, certainly no great surprise. On day one, Sky announced it. Yep, that's the game is going to kick off the championship, the new EFL championship season on Friday evening.
And Birmingham, Joe, have strange echoes of a certain Ipswich Town in summer 2023, don't they? When you go there and you see the sheer level of excitement and positivity around the place.
Yeah, I think the fans. I think the difference between the clubs is maybe that the club is so noisy as well, as opposed to where we sort of, I wouldn't say quietly went about our business, but we just kept on trying to do the right things. And I think that'd be a challenge for the management team and the players to try and deal with the level of, maybe not expectation, but the level of noise around them as well, alongside it, where we never had that so much. And we didn't really spend a huge amount of money when we came up into the championship. It was only really making George Hurst permanent for $1.5 million, Jack Taylor for $1.5 million.
Wow.
What did we sign? Like
Murray Hudson on
Williams
loan.
Dane Scarlett on loan. There wasn't really a huge amount of investment. We were sort of following through the same team that we'd had there, and maybe that extra money in it is going to put a lot more pressure on them than we had on us, and that felt sort of unbecoming. The pressure we seemed to have on us towards the end of the season felt so big, and you sort of think it's going to be that times 2 or 3 for Birmingham.
Oh yes,
to make it tough.
Yeah, I think a lot of the noise at Birmingham comes from their high-profile owner as well, does it? Or one of the high-profile owners as well. Good,
they're caught in it, Dave, if they've got a incredibly worldwide famous front man and a documentary, haven't they?
You got to, of course you would. Yeah, absolutely.
He's not really even that involved, is he? Considering he's
no.
They make out it's Brady and the Blues. Well, he's a NFL commentator who spends his weeks doing that, like being paid $250 million a year.
He's there to raise revenue, isn't he? And when you actually look, it does actually seem to work when you read the reports about what's kind of coming in for commercials at Blues. Anyway,
but it just seems very different to sort of like the Rob and Ryan at Wrexham, where they do seem much more heavily invested in the club. Like, I don't think, I wouldn't say he doesn't care about it, but I don't think it really matters too much to him there, does it?
No. Right, let's get into, team selections. And I think a theme of this, Dave, is going to be perhaps a team in a groove and ready to go and, full of confidence against one that is going to be gradually pieced together over the next couple of months. So here's your first ITFC lineup of the season, Dave, with Palmer in goal, Davis and Johnson, the fullback, Greaves, and the new captain, O'Shea. We had Luke Chambers and Mick Mills at the game. If you want to just see in the archives, Dave ranked his top Ipswich Town captains in the absence now of Sam Morsey. Taylor and Matassi were in central midfield with Jens Kayus not quite being ready. Jack Clark and Chio Ogbene, which was a bit of a surprise for me. He wasn't on my bingo card, Dave. Sam Smodics and George Hurst. Your thoughts on Kieran McKenna's selection?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was no sort of surprise that Philogene didn't figure. I think he obviously picked up an injury in Auxerre the week before, which at first thought seemed sort of long-term-ish. I mean, not quite. Obviously, got to mention Connor Townsend. Shame for him out for the season with pretty much for the season with an ACL. But it was thought at the time that Philogene might be long-term. Doesn't seem that way, but anyway, he wasn't fully fit enough for Friday. Obviously, the Amari Hutchinson situation will get onto at some part of this the season.
I was present in the press conference for the snappy reply on that, so I can talk to you about that. Yeah.
Okay, fine. We'll save that. That will come up, I'm sure. We'll save that. And Ogbene obviously out for a very, very since end of last October. Picked up that Achilles injury, I think, at Brentford, wasn't it?
I was really surprised to see him starting. Dave.
Yeah, I was slightly surprised to see him start. I think it was sort of muted throughout the day that he might figure. I think I saw one or two comments in the chat about him. I mean, the only other position there was the fullback, was the right back position. Obviously, we got Ashley Young. Yeah, I'm not surprised that. All right, hindsight's one thing. I'm not surprised that Johnson started. Young obviously on the bench, and obviously there you've got the injury again, with seemingly a long-term injury to Harry Clark, who apparently came back pre-season looking really fit, sharp, and very, very strong. So, yeah, I suppose looking at that, no great surprises other than you said, Ogbene on the right.
Do you want to come in on the Town 11, Joe?
Yeah, I guess it shows how short we are still at the moment. When, even though the squad looks big on paper at times, when you look at it and you've got Ogbene on the right, who you assume isn't fit, wasn't going to be fit. If you'd have said 2 weeks ago he's starting, you'd be very, very surprised. And he started and he looked like he was still playing himself up to speed. And then Jack Clark playing on the left where he hadn't played throughout pre-season. Leif Davis had been struggling, and then we know Connor Townsend was out. And it did just look, especially in the wide areas, a team that was short on what it wants and what it needs at the moment. And then you look at the bench and you've got like Finley Barbrick on the bench, who 2 days before they announced the squad numbers, he wasn't even given a squad number. And then the next day he's on the bench. It's a bit like, it sort of shows why that we maybe weren't quite there. And I'd say, I'm sure we'll get into it, but when you see the sort of team that ended the game as well, it makes it even sort of starker where we are. And I guess this is parachute team football in August, isn't it? August is a month just to be endured and to ensure you can get out the other side of it in a decent state, and then your season starts from there, really, isn't it?
And very interesting.
Sorry, Ben, I think you said it in the comments, Joe. If we can get 10 points from the first 5 games, our season really is going to start 1st of September, isn't it?
Dave, look how the 4 parachute teams performed this weekend. I know Southampton and Leicester won, but not impressive. Sheffield United got crashed as well, so it's definitely.
But I'm sure we get into that in the roundup. But if you look at it, you think Ipswich, like, we didn't play that well. We got a point away at Birmingham. Southampton didn't play well. They won. Yeah. Leicester didn't play well. They won. So the 3 teams that come down.
I've got something to say about Southampton substitutions as well.
Yeah. The 3 teams that come down, none of them played well, and they all got a good result effectively out of it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's the expectation, and that already pulls us slightly towards the narrative of something similar to the past 2 seasons, where you're looking at 90 points and more and more and more. And let's talk about Birmingham then. Joe, I'll throw to you. And yes, it's impressive. There was so much hype, but I actually, having seen the 11 and seen the game, I think they backed up a lot of the hype, actually. So it was Allsop in goal. fair play, two massive centre backs who were both reasonably technical as well. Clara and Neumann, Cochrane and Bright. Asai Samuel, who we last saw in the Championship playing on the wing for QPR, is now a full-back. Three very good Asian players as well. Pike and Iwata in central midfielder, Keshi Anderson, Damari Gray, Jay Stansfield, and Kyogo Furuhashi up top. Joe, look a lot more. We may have more quality in and around the squad. Look a lot more. They look complete and balanced already, don't they?
To an extent, I think maybe from back to middle they did, but I don't think I don't think they really offered a huge amount going forwards from the middle forwards. I don't think they've created really anything in the game. Like, I'm not saying we did either on the other side, but I think that goals may be a problem for them if they sort of carry on playing as they are.
They've still got Doyle and
Doyle was ill, wasn't he? I think. Yeah, but I think goals. And I think goals were a bit of a problem for them last year, considering they got 111 points. That was sort of built more on sort of 1-0s and stuff, especially throughout the first 2/3 of the season. So yeah, I think they're a good side, and I think they'll do well. But I think they need to. I think they could become one of those sort of stodgy sides, like maybe like a Paulo Sousa Swansea side, where they sort of dominate the ball and do some nice stuff. But actually getting the wins over the line, I think they might find it harder at this level. Well, they'll definitely find it harder at this level than they did last year, where they won 19 games.
Dave, any thoughts on that Birmingham 11?
I pretty much agree with Joe. I mean, they were just in our face. They were clearly up for it and just in our faces right from the off. Obviously, supercharged, hyped up atmosphere there. One or two have impressed me. I quite like Anderson. I thought he was pretty steady on the ball, good on the ball, the wide player.
I thought Anderson and Samuel were the two that were really good on the wings.
Samuel, really good game. Really good game, but that's quite impressive there. But I agree with Joe. Going forward, they didn't really create that much. And, well, we'll perhaps get to that. Well, any minutiae, we'll get to the chances. But that showed, for me, it showed the difference between Premier and Championship quality in the finish. And the two chances throughout the game at Stansfield as Premier League, one of those goes in without question. And that's the difference probably. But I agree. I don't think they were particularly too much of a threat going forward.
Well, let's get into the game. And I suppose we'll jump straight into one of the controversies then, Dave. It's Kyogo and Greaves. And I think Greaves has probably bought this foul, hasn't he? And the ball's lobbed over into the net. And you've seen them go the other way, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. He kind of gets caught under it. And there is some contact there, so you can say. I mean, at that stage, the ref, gee whiz, the ref was just blowing up for everything. Or even saying on Sky that, oh my God, he's just not letting any physical contact go whatsoever. And again, he's got a problem, the atmosphere and everything's happening on the night. But I think Greaves was a touch for. There was contact, but I think he was a touch fortunate there. Whether Kyogo hears the whistle and puts it in casually, like it's a great finish, sort of like lob finish outside of his left foot. Whether he does hear the whistle and he's all a bit casual and just lobs it over Palmer, I'm not sure. Perhaps he does, but it was a 50-50 that went our way, that one, I think.
You agree with that, Joe?
No. I think it's an obvious foul, really. That he's especially the way the ref. That's probably the fifth foul of the game in 8 minutes as well. And I say Greaves is.
He gets caught under the ball.
I don't think he's really caught under it so much. He's sort of in control of the situation. Kyogo just comes and jumps into him, puts his elbow into his back. Isn't looking at the ball. He's looking at the man. The ball's behind him, and he just jumps into him, and then the whistle goes quite early. It's just like I said. If he'd got away with that, especially with the way the first 8 minutes have been reffed, it would have been an absolute shocker, really, wouldn't it?
Let's move on then. And I would say up until 25-30 minutes, Joe, we didn't really have much control of this at all, did we?
No, and it was quite frustrating because we were obviously attacking towards the away end, and there wasn't really a huge amount of play there. But they were comfortable with the ball in their own third, and there was a couple of times they beat the press, but we were quite comfortable defensively. Apart from we weren't sure. It's almost like we weren't sure whether to clear and try and play out from the back, and we sort of ended up doing neither too many times, and we just couldn't really get onto the ball. But I say throughout the first half, probably the best chance, the two best chances of the half is probably Sam Smodics when the keeper passed it straight to him. That header Jack Taylor has right before half time. They're probably the two best chances in the half. But and it's one of those ones. I didn't think the ref was bad. I just didn't enjoy the way he reffed the game, if that makes sense. I think he got everything right, and I think they were fouls, but it was just the bar for a foul was so low, and that really just killed the game. Like, we were quite happy to kill the game. There was just so many fouls, and we just slowed it down to the point where the atmosphere of the ground was just sort of sucked out of it, really, just by how poor quality the game was. It became a real stodgy, slow, bitty affair, and it was just frustrating because we have some players that we know have got quality, but they just weren't able. I thought Smodics, when he got the ball, was just too eager to release it. Jack Clark just was getting swallowed up by the game. It felt like Ogbene sort of had that space to run into, but maybe just doesn't have the confidence in his body to do so. Leif Davis didn't look fit. We know he'd had an issue, and he just didn't look like he wanted to stretch himself out. And there's a couple of times when he's away and he ends up sort of pulling back in, and I thought Ben Johnson was really, really poor. And that's our 4 wide players there: Johnson, Ogbene, Davis, and Clark. And none of them were playing well or the ability to. So we just didn't have anywhere to go with it. And because of that, the game just sort of stodged right up. And I think we were probably quite happy with that in a way as well.
What's your take on the first half, Dave? I think you got mentioned the 2 Stansfield chances as well into the bargain as well. If you mentioned,
yeah, one was one of those was quite a nice move, wasn't it? They sort of worked the ball across the box, a couple of first-time passes, and sort of picked him out. That was I think that was the one he put over, wasn't it? Or was one he dragged wide? I can't remember.
That was the one that went over, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the one that went over. Yeah. But Joe's right. The ref just sucked the life out of the game in the first 20 minutes. I'd love to see the stats of those first 20 minutes to actually see how much the ball was actually live in play. I know you can look at any stats over any game and it's very, very little, but my God, that was talk about stop-start, and he absolutely killed it. But going on, I mean, Smodics had a good chance, didn't he? Perhaps he went for Powell, and perhaps he could have. I mean, the defender was on him pretty quickly, but I agree with the chat there. Perhaps
bounce away to his right. It sat up but away from him, but he scored 27 goals last time. I know.
But the only thing for me, because I was right in line with that, and that looked a really, really good chance. But when I watched it back, it did look harder. It did look more difficult on the replay, sort of, than in the stadium.
Been a great finish if that goes in with that power. It'd been a hell of a finish. But no, other than that, there wasn't much. But yeah. Just on the possession and the chances the half chances that Birmingham had, probably we're definitely happy. I think to get in half time goalless. Yeah,
very much so. Into the second half, we'll stick with you then, Dave, because I think they picked it up pretty well. I think Pike had a chance possibly before Stansfield scored, and I felt at that point. Hurst wasn't getting a great deal out of Clara and Neumann at the top end as well. And my opinion is, I agree with Trevor in the chat there. He was feeding off crumbs, but it was a struggle for him, wasn't he, against those 2? When they took the lead, I wasn't sat there thinking, oh, they don't deserve. Don't deserve that, and we've been hard done to. But yeah, take me up to the goal, Dave. Stansfield on 55.
Yeah, I mean, this has been debated in our chat fairly intrinsically, throughout certainly today, I think. But I think Greaves is in possession, rolls the ball back to Palmer. He's got quite a bit of time. Greaves and O'Shea are split, as you would. Taylor's showing 20 yards out, probably, just not quite
where Morsey would have.
Where Morsey certainly would have, and where Morsey would have demanded. So I think the thing is here, Morsey, no matter what, would have demanded the ball there. Taylor, well, he was there. Was he having the greatest game? Hard to say. I think their midfield 2, really worked. Their midfield 2 really worked their socks off. And we'll get to Matt Seawer again in a bit. But so perhaps the obvious ball was onto Taylor there. But to be fair to Palmer, he'd been kicking it long all night. More often than not, he was kicking it long, certainly in those first 20 minutes or so.
Which would imply he'd been told to, Dave?
Well, look, what do you say? Keep it tight. I mean, atmosphere like that, the occasion, it's the old cliche, and keep it tight first 20, no unnecessary risk. Whether you've been told that or not, I don't know, but it was certainly more direct. And and he just doesn't get anything on it. He sort of half shanks it and sort of lofts it. Doesn't even get, I don't think, to the D in the penalty area. Clark, who we'll get on to, didn't have his best nights, I would say, was just totally flattened by the header. It's a great header back, slightly fortuitous that the header goes straight back, straight between the split O'Shea and Greaves. Greaves maybe a little bit slow to react, hard to say. It falls perfectly at Kyogo. Good bit of skill, lifts it over Palmer. Then do we get a bit unlucky? They get a bit lucky. We bounce off the post, could go anywhere.
This all happens in slow motion, Dave,
it's a shit show, isn't it? O'Shea's off balance. He can't do anything. He doesn't know which way it's going to go off the post. And look, he's got to score Stansfield. He's about 7-8 yards out, but good composure. Makes sure and hits it left foot in the roof of the net. Yeah, it was one of those things that on the first 10 minutes of the second half, it was probably arguably coming, I guess.
What's your take on the goal and what Dave's had to say, Joe?
Yeah, it felt like we were sort of 2 or 3 minutes from really silencing the crowd, because you could see they were sort of losing their, not belief so much, but there wasn't really a lot happening. They came out after half time, back up for it again. The crowd was up for it. The team was up for it. And it was just sort of drifting into sort of the nothingness that the first half had become. And I think had we sort of kept them out for another 5 minutes or so, that probably would have killed the crowd. And then who knows what happens from there. But it's a poor goal to concede. Like I say, we're in control of the situation. Greaves puts the ball back to Palmer, and he's got to play the short pass, because our whole team is set up to play out from that. And he's just got to play that bounce pass into Taylor. Because the thing is, Greaves has gone right out left. O'Shea's gone right out right. It goes to Taylor. It goes to him, one pass out to O'Shea, and then all of a sudden we can start again. And Stansfield and Kyogo are gone because they've pressed the first one. But if you're going to kick it, and he did it a few times in the first half, these sort of milky sort of kicks up there.
Shanks it. Shanks it in golf
where
terms.
You've got your player underneath the ball, and you've got some big bastard coming flying in behind.
It was the fullback, actually.
This one was Samuel, not
yeah.
Clara. But Hurst had done well to just about stop them coming back when Clara and Newman were coming over the top of him. He was sort of physical enough to stop it being too much of a problem. But I say Samuel just wants it more. He flies in there, wins the header. But Clark, he's got to do more for me. He's got to try and put him off or try and do something there. And because we've split, because that's how we play, they're both out of position. Greaves ends up coming the wrong side he gets the wrong side of Kyogo, and it's a very neat finish, but a bit unlucky for him that it goes into the post rather than on it. And then Stansfield, I know you sort of say he's got to score it, but there's still someone on the line. He's still got to do it. He finishes it really well by going really high into the roof of the net and with his weaker foot as well. So a really good finish on that one. And then obviously the ground erupts. And then from that point on, it's totally changes the game. And it seemed very, very much one of those. The first goal was going to be very, very important, and they got it. And I think, like I say, had we managed to hold out for 5 or so more minutes, I think we probably could have maybe even gone on to win the game. But no, it was a well-taken goal. They just showed that desire to do it. But yeah, I think we're looking at ourselves at that one rather than looking at them.
How do we respond, Dave? Coming up to it's gonna be a triple sub on 68 with Chaplin, Young, and Broadhead coming in for Ogbene Johnson and Smodic.
Yeah,
but there's a natural. I mean, I can see the old momentum graph on FootMob says Birmingham scored, and then there's that natural kind of right. Okay, 3 points if we don't concede now, and it kind of often naturally flips the other direction a little bit, doesn't it?
And it did, and it did. And the subs did. I mean, so the subs are made on 60, probably from 65 minutes onwards. You could see the difference the subs were making. Maybe you're right. Birmingham had retreated a little bit, but we suddenly started to find some passes and get some control in the game, which we really hadn't had much of at all, barely anything at all. We barely strung 3 or 4 passes together.
Well, Dave, infamously, we're not going to have a shot on target until we score.
Well, true. Absolutely. Well, that sums it up, doesn't it? So we began certainly sort of perhaps 5 minutes on 65, 70 minutes. We started to get a bit of control, started to find players, started to make some nice patterns, and you could see that, perhaps we might just scrape something here after all.
Joe, do you want to take us through a bit further towards sort of 75?
Yeah, I thought between Ashley Young and Connor Chaplin, I thought they just brought Christmas to our passing and the ability to take the ball in tough positions where we just hadn't done a huge amount of that. We hadn't played very bravely on the ball, which is something that has been a real sort of hallmark of our side over the last
And
3
that's
seasons.
how we concede as well, Joe.
Yeah, just not being brave, and did that Chaplin taking the ball, and even Broadhead coming across. I know he was sort of notionally on the left, but he was coming right across to get into those areas to pick the ball up, and it was just helping us sort of make their defensive line sit sort of 15, 20 yards further back than what they had been doing up until that point. And I think their subs seemed, I'd imagine their bench was as short as ours in some respects, that they didn't really have the game changers on the bench to keep up the high press throughout the second half of the game. So they were naturally dropping. You've got that goal, which makes you naturally drop a bit deeper. But I thought from that point on, there was only sort of really one team going to score from that point. But we just didn't seem to have that sort of clinical edge we needed. Like, I think Hurst and Smodics had a good little sort of back and forth with sort of a couple of 1-2s, and then didn't get the shot away. And then another good bit of play. So Ali Al-Hamadi, who'd come on as a right winger, get into the box and sort of cut back onto his left foot.
How did he manage to fall over and the defender stay standing on that one? That was completely the wrong way round.
Dropped himself. And like I said, we looked like we were that functioning team again moving forwards, and we sort of putting the pressure on, getting a few set pieces, putting it in the box, and one of them leads to what was the goal.
Do you want to talk about Matta Seward now, Dave? Because I think he might have got a bit of a rude awakening in this one.
I think he did. I think, obviously he had the three friendlies, which by all intents, what I saw of it, he looked relatively calm and composed, and you think, physicality. I think the pace. He was caught out by the pace. He was caught in possession. I look back, and it's easy.
And smashed him and took.
They were buzzing around him. And it's easy to. It's an easy thing to say, Morsey this, Morsey that, But up until last season, it was an event. Once every 5-6 games in Morsey got caught in possession. He was just that good, wasn't he? So I think he just got caught up in the overall pace of the game. I'm sure he'll be fine in certain parts. He was neat and tidy at certain parts when he was, in possession, and what he's there for. Certainly broke up play once or twice, but I think the pace of the game caught him out. And I don't think Taylor particularly had his best game either, did he? So that really didn't help. But their central two were just buzzing all night, weren't they? Absolutely in their faces. No time on the ball at all. So I'm sure it will come. Of course it will for Matt Seward, but. It's as you say, a sharp shock probably to him.
I think when we round up, Joe, I think what Dave's just said about Matta Seward, which I agree with, is going to be a thing of, well, look, if all of these things that we think can improve will improve, then, we'll be all right, won't we?
Yeah, and I thought I thought defensively and off the ball he was good. He broke play out well, won his headers, won his battles on that side. But and
he knew when to make a tactical foul, because I'm sure you were shouting at the
but
same
time. That was only because he gave the ball away there himself, didn't he? Sort of gave the ball away himself and then sort of pulled him down on the way. But I think he will learn about the possession in this league. That is, you don't have you don't have that extra half second to think about it.
Okay, and in we go to stoppage time with no shots on target, and we've got a corner, Joe. And is this the return of last minute deflection lucky FC once again for the season? Are we bringing them back, Joe? Talk to me about a controversial end to the game.
I didn't think it was that controversial even from the away end. I thought it was you could see the hand up when he's jumping, and straight away I thought it was a penalty, even from 100 yards away down the other end of the pitch. But I think it's just one of those where it's only controversial because I think maybe the punishment doesn't fit the crime sometimes for penalties. Like, should that give you a 0.79 XG shot from goal just because someone's made a bad mistake and decided to jump with his hands up above his head? Well, that is the punishment for it, and it is a clear handball, so it is a penalty, and that's what it is. But you got to be spewing if you're a Birmingham fan. But like I said, I think you're spewing. I think you're spewing because of what it is, not because it's not a penalty. You're spewing because it's conceding a goal from there. But the ball was going back into an area. But you'd rather have a penalty than the ball going back into the area. But it's just bad. Like I say, there's 4 people jumping underneath the ball there. Only one of them decided to put both his hands above his head for it. So there's a reason.
Dave?
Yeah, it's a classic, isn't it? Arm in an unnatural position, and as someone just said there in the chat, seeing the summary afterwards, Curtis Davis and Chambers, who were summarising for Sky, both called it. They said from where they were sitting, both called it straight away. Surprisingly, Clinton Morrison didn't, but they both called it. And
I
mean, at first it's an odd one because when you're watching it, when you watch it on Sky, when the whistle goes, you think, oh Christ, it's another one of those.
Yeah,
probably, we'll give a foul or take the corner again. It's Archie. We've seen it last season. Although to be fair, the corner had been pretty much taken, so it wouldn't have been. I just assumed it was a foul as soon as the whistle goes. But then you sort of thought, hang on, where's he pointing? All right, he's pointing to the spot. So yeah, got away with one and pressure penalty. Props to Hurst here. That is a pressure penalty, isn't it? It really is a pressure penalty. 95th minute, and it's a well taken penalty. Looks like he gives Allsop the eyes, doesn't he? Just passes it slightly to his left. He goes to his right, and get out of Dodge with a point.
I've got to say, I agree with Joe on. I mean, look, anyone can sit there, especially when we're in a group of people who all support their same side here, and maybe there's some motivated reasoning going on to talk about arms being in an unnatural position and things of that nature. But I totally agree with Joe that it's 4 huge blokes jumping at the back post for a floaty corner. Okay, his arms away from his body. I just feel in the long term for football, I don't think that's what the handball law was. I know we've gone back and forth on deliberate and not deliberate, and now the arm being in a quote unnatural position kind of overrules. I agree with Trevor down there, kind of overrules it being deliberate or not deliberate. But if I'm Dykes, I'm like, I put my arm up to jump, I'm trying to win the header, it brushed my fingers.
How'd you jump?
And I agree with Joe. You can say it's handball, but then a free shot from goal from 12 yards is one of those. I think it's one of those in the game. And it's very easy for Ipswich Town fans to be sat here quoting the law. I suspect if that had been given against us, the conversation may be slightly the other way around, Dave.
I don't know on that. I think you just sort of blame the player. Personally, I'd blame the player because there's no need
Joe,
for someone
you
to jump with their arms
do
above their
wrong.
head. No,
you have to really do wrong.
There's a lever, but his hands were above his head. Both hands.
Well, he's
were above
looking
his
back
head.
like that to jump, and then it comes back that way.
But you look. There's 20 set pieces in that match, and there isn't another one where a player's caught with his hands above his head. It's just crap. It's just really, really poor from Dykes to do it. Yeah, he's unlucky the ball hits his hand, but you look. There's 4 other players up for that header. Every single one of them, their arms are below their shoulders. If you put your arms up there, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, fair comment. And sorry, Dave, quickly. And at that point in the game, Joe, as well. Yeah, don't jump like that in minute 93 and give this ref a chance to give a pen.
Poor.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Dave. What much clearer penalty for me was Cochrane on O'Shea. Flipping heck, what was that? 75 when he's.
I know, but Dave, if you do that, you'll have fans freeze frame in every corner, and you can argue 14 or 15 penalties per game.
For me, that was for me looking at that seemed a more obvious penalty to me than the other one. But there you go.
Yeah,
we'll take
fair enough.
1-1. I guarantee that Cochrane. I'm a little bit of that sort of stuff happens all the time. But when there's one angle that they showed on Sky of that, and it looks like the ref's view of it. If you're Birmingham manager, you're looking at this and going up to Cochrane and saying, "Do not defend like this
Don't do that."
Because you're going to get caught. Because
you're going to risk it.
It was a foul. Like O'Shea's running, and he just
it blocks him.
You can hold your ground if you block there, but he goes into him and
his movement
flies into it. So I think the Birmingham manager will be looking at that and say, "Look, you've got away with the one there," because I think they have to an extent. But I'm not normally one for giving those sort of soft, ticky. Those sort of penalties, but I think that was probably the wrong side of the line, and one where if you're in VAR, you might get caught a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
But
big pull away from the.
If you're someone from Birmingham, you're glad you've got a learning moment that hasn't cost you for that one. If that makes sense.
And just quickly talk about the penalty. I think, as Dave said, Joe, real high pressure moment as well in front of a seething Tilton end, and he sticks the penalty in quite well, and was Connor Chaplin trying to smash it into the back of the net or trying to smash it into the crowd? What's he doing there at the end?
Well, I think it was easier to hit the goal than it was to hit the crowd.
Right, and he's a professional footballer, yeah?
Yeah, and well...
We love you, Connor, by the way.
Yeah. I guess your head's just gone a bit. You're not really thinking about it. You're just smashing it there. But yeah, no, that isn't the wisest thing to do. So I'd imagine that would probably be a he got booked for it, so I guess that's the correct punishment for it.
What a visual as well, Dave. The Birmingham centre half, who's like a foot and a half taller than him, squaring up to him. Chaplin just staring at him. Fantastic stuff.
Sweet, yeah. He gets that with some venom, doesn't he? Yeah. They got very excited about that.
Oh dear. Final kind of summings up then. I thought we got away with one there, Joe. We could have easily lost that game, couldn't we?
Yeah, I think we could have easily lost it, but I think we could have easily just petered out to a 0-0 as well. I think they got a goal, but really it was a game of very, very little quality in the final third, and 0-0, 1-1 probably is about right. But the way it happened means that we've got away with one, and I think it's a good point. I know Birmingham have only just come up, but they're one of the promotion favourites for a reason. They're a good side. I don't think there's going to be too many sides that go there and that would have been able to go down Friday night and stand up to the performance they put out there and come away with a point. I say we've got a lot to improve on from there, and I think a point's a really good result. I think you take that all day long, a point there, and especially in the circumstances it came in, where we got away with one. Probably one just draw a line under, move on. And as I was saying at the start, August is a tough month for parachute teams. Anything you get in this month is good, let alone a point away at one of the promotion favourites. And I think there's easy an argument that you could say that's probably our toughest game of the season, because I think that's probably our toughest away game, unless like Southampton or Leicester comes a promotion deciding game in April. Like I say, with the momentum they're going in, with the crowd that was there Friday night, big atmosphere, side flying up the table. I think that was about as tough as it was going to get away from home. And if it's your toughest away game of the season, it's probably your hardest game of the season. So to come out of that with a point is really, really good for us. And I think they'll probably be happy with it, that they've come up and sort of more than stood toe to toe with who are the promotion favourites. They can probably think, we are going to be up there this season as well. So I think it's probably one that Birmingham fans, it's a sickener for them, but I think probably in the cold light of day, probably both fans can look at that and come away quite happy with it.
Yeah, Dave, I think we'll have to have a Blue Monday think tank and see if we can come up with a little kind of pithy saying for when you're happy with a draw. We'll see if we can come up with something, Dave. But yeah, I agree with Joe there. I'm very happy with a point. Particularly, I'm sat there at 80 minutes, and I literally said on my vlog, the only way we're going to score now is to stick the ball in the box and a bit of chaos. And hate to say I told you so, but that's the way we scored. With a little bit of I think a little bit of right time, right place. Whatever you want to call it. Poor decision making from Dykes or whatever. But what's your feeling? What
would our beloved Mick McCarthy had said? Driving up the M6. If you guarantee me a point now, I'd turn the bus back around. Seriously. And it was like that. Yeah. We'd be sitting here now had we not got the pen and lost 1-0, was certainly much more sort of doom, and you'd like to keep perspective on it, but much more doom and gloom. You say, that's a really bad performance, and we got what we deserved. But in the end, didn't really play well. They seemingly much more settled and much more prepared than we were. We know there's going to be ins and outs. We know that come September the 1st, the first 11's not going to look like that. So all in all, take the point, move on.
Oh. He's come up with the phrase for being happy with a draw there, after all. Guys, what we'll probably do, if you want to talk about individual players and individual performances and minutiae from the Birmingham game, we'll do that in the question, because I've just looked up at the clock and I've gone nearly 40 minutes on the opening segment here. But it was a game with plenty to talk about. So we will do round up, and then we'll get into questions. And then if you want to talk about individual players, you can get Dave and Joe's views there. Here is a little message from our show partners at Atwell's.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell's Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Well, thank you to the wonderful people at Atwells. And by God, thank you to the wonderful people who have signed up for Blue Monday, top tier, including looking like it in the show. Oh, put that last one back so I can read his name out, Rich. Sorry, thanks. Noel, Ipswich Walking FC, thank you for your sign up. FPL Tractor, we know him. Thank you so much. We've been blown away by all the people who've signed up for our kind of new extra content. Basically, you can do that through the membership function of YouTube. If you can get to one of us, we'll try and help you through it as well. And if you take a Telegram trial as well, you can get to one of us and ask us your questions. But you should be able to join just by hitting the button down there. And Richard is working the desk tonight, and he has just gifted 5 top tier memberships. Mad scramble now, like when a Premier League player throws his shirt in the crowd. Go and grab those memberships, and this is what you get behind the paywall. So tomorrow we've got an analytical look at Friday's game in Beyond the Scoreline with Oscar and Adam. We'll also have a written blog coming, I think, from Richard will put in the comments here, either Kev, Sean or Jack. I think that will be out possibly on Tuesday. Excuse me, I should really know that. It's been my daughter's birthday party today. I don't know my ass from my elbow. Wednesday, Craig and Joe are going to be back with the news show, and we'll talk a bit about the Bromley game. We've got the pre-match show. Rich and Seb will be back from their very selfishly timed holidays. And then Friday, this has already been very popular. George and Henry, who you saw on a couple of the main free-to-air shows, are going to be here with the weekend preview. And us three here, the stalwarts, will be back with the Flagship Show this Sunday. So really excited to do all of this. Joe, we've been trying to push this through for a couple of years, the daily content side. And we think people should sign up, right?
Yeah, no, it's all good stuff. Everyone will find stuff they like in here, and like I say, if you like what we do, it's just more of the same. Like you'll get more of the same for free, and then there's even more of that same, which is available for subscriptions. So yeah, get involved.
And Dave, that is a key point. Everything everybody got for free, you'll still get for free. You don't have to sign up for top tier. You can still get these shows, so no obligation.
Change. Correct. Yeah.
Nothing changes there. Right. Shall we get into the roundup? Maybe just bang through these EFL Championship scorelines, and you can each pick one out. If you want to get your questions in now, it might be worth doing that. Thanks, Rich. Charlton 1, Watford 0. Charlton, the only of the 3 promoted teams to get a win. A late one there, Harvey Nibbs. Coventry 0, Hull 0. Saints 2, Wrexham 1. I thought Wrexham were a bit unlucky in that one. I watched that one. 2 late goals from Saints. Borough 1, Swans 0. Norwich 1, Millwall 2. Oxford 0. Portsmouth 1. What are you doing, Joe? QPR 1. QPR 1, Preston 1. Stoke 3, Derby 1. Never trust Stoke. Don't get excited by that. West Brom 1, Blackburn 0. Probably the surprise of the day. Sheffield United 1. Bristol City 4. And I've got to admit, I predicted Leicester 5, Sheffield Wednesday 0 today. I just went for a expansive big scoreline, but it was closer than you think. Joe, what do you want to talk about in those 12?
Oh, can I talk about Norwich losing? Haven't done that for a while.
Of course you can.
Nice for them to lose a home game, isn't it? Because I do... Well, I say it's a worry, but it's also a hope that Liam Manning sort of starts quite slowly, plays quite defensive football, sort of free at the back, that I just don't think the natives are going to enjoy it so much. They've got a lot of players new to the league as well, and it was nice to see Massimo Luongo come on there as a late sub and help Millwall to victory there, so good on him.
Anything you want to pick out there, Dave, from Game Week 1?
Not really. A couple of really eye-catching free kicks. I think Manning, Southampton free kick, and Scott Twine again for Bristol City. Absolute quality strikes, both of them. But no, I think I was listening, watching a bit, and also caught a bit on the radio of the Norwich game. And you'd have a bit more for this. And people are sort of saying Millwall could well be sort of dark horses. Alex Neil there could perhaps be dark horses, be in and around the playoffs. Yeah,
they're very high on life, and I think they've kept Ivanovic and Tanganga Dave, and they've always kind of flirt with the playoffs. Millwall, don't they? So yeah, let's see it. They're off to a flyer. Joe, just quickly.
Sorry, another team with momentum. Sorry, they had a great finish to the end of last season, didn't they?
Right. Joe, just quickly, your thoughts then on the parachute teams, because we weren't that good. Southampton weren't that good. The thing I wanted to mention to you though was, I think in 3 separate sub windows they brought in Damien Downs and Matthias Fernandes. Then Cameron Archer, who scored tons of goals for Middlesbrough. And then just to end, they put Ross Stewart on, who scored tons of goals for Sunderland as well. But Leicester struggled as well. And Sheffield United have now sold Ahmed Hodzic. So it really is make hay while the sun is shining, while the parachute teams sort themselves out. And that includes us. I don't think there's going to be a kind of Leicester City from last time we were down, where they just went out the traps and just won 10. I mean, we did it, didn't we? But just take my point, Joe.
Yeah, I think I guess the key thing is with the parachute payments, all 3 of them got good results. I know Sheffield United were down, but their second year, but all 3 of them got good results in the end. I know ours, probably, if you were at the bookies, we probably had the best result of the 3 by getting a point in a tough away game. They won home games they should have won, but from poor positions, effectively. So, but ultimately, it doesn't really matter if you win 2-1 or 4-1 in these games, does it?
No.
When you look at your route to 100 points, everyone is either on or above their curve already, aren't they?
Yeah. Right. Get your questions in, ladies and gentlemen, particularly if you want to talk about any sort of individuals that Dave and Joe haven't mentioned from Friday night's games. Let me take this from Trevor quickly, just to start it off. With our present squad, do you think we are false favourites? No, Trevor, only purely on the basis that the initial favourites picked by the market and by the bookies is purely just all done on paper. And, where the money goes, we've got the year 1 parachute payment. We're the only team that didn't change manager who's got the parachute payment as well. And it'll move now depending on what you see on the pitch. So as much as there's such thing, I don't know whether it's an oxymoron being a false favourite having played no games, but I completely get why we were. And, people will use their eyes now, and the market will move.
Yeah, but also, Ben, like when it says with our present squad, that means we keep Amari Hutchison for the season,
yeah, right,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So what is our present squad? Does it mean we sell the players that we're going to sell, but we don't then buy anyone as well? So if you say your present squad, well, our present squad is very good, but we just know there's going to be a lot of movement to it.
It's so hard to judge, isn't it, until after international break 1 and the window has closed. There you go, Dave. We can end the podcast here, because you're gonna sort the entire thing out here by telling George what will the first 11 be. Okay, let me reframe that. Will there be players who played last night who won't be in the first 11 when the window closes?
Yes, I would say so. Yes. Definitely.
Would you like to name them, Dave?
No, I don't think so. But no, you would think that the right back position, I don't.
One of the central midfielders is going to be
one of the central midfielders, I believe. And look, ins and outs, you've got to look at potential outs. Someone just mentioned, there's been a lot of talk in the chat about the outs. You've got Broadhead seemingly. Wrexham have bid apparently 7 million. Was it 7 million? 7.5 million for Broadhead. 1 year left on his contract, so you would think he's unlikely to be here. But in fairness to Broadhead, part of the squad the other night, and we'll get onto Hutchison no doubt in a little while, but part of the squad the other night came on, did his bit, played for the team, absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I would say there would certainly be 2 or 3 who played last night who won't be certainly first choice come the 1st of September. I would like to think that. However, we all know, certainly in the last couple of weeks, how hard it is to get signings through the door. So we shall see. I mean, we should mention, Jens Kajus has now signed back on loan for a season with an option if we get promoted. So you would think that he would be figuring sooner rather than later in one of those central midfield berths, you would think.
Let me just try and consolidate a couple of questions together. CH Joe asking on Akpom, and Dave's already mentioned Broadhead. So does FPL Tractor. By the way, if you do sign up for top tier, Look at that for a status symbol. You get a lovely little badge by your name there. Who doesn't want one of them? It's worth it just for that, Joe, isn't it? But it feels very much, Joe, like we're in this position where there's deals kind of on the table and signed up that just aren't going through and being completed. And, I don't know. Like when you play pool, and if you play someone really good, they set it up with the balls over the pockets, ready to just, finish everything off. But the balls aren't going in the pockets. So there's got to be a point where whatever it is that's stopping deal number one and then the cascade effect, there's a point where people start to walk away, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's more that a lot of these deals hang on because they're not always the first choice target they want for them. So it might be that, like Brentford have been heavily linked with Mari Hutchinson and saying they want to sign him, and there's been a bid in a couple of weeks ago. But now they're signing someone else as his replacement. So was that guy always the plan A, or was it there? So there's so much moving stuff, and like there's probably players. So like when we were in for Hayden Hackney last week or so, he's probably his agent's getting told, "No, hang on, look, Palace will bid for you, Everton will bid for you, so just don't make the move yet," and things. So there's so much stuff, and as with anything, like there's a transfer window that runs from like June the 16th to September the 1st, and probably 50% of the deals will be done. The sort of club to club deals, not just free transfer signed somewhere. 50% of the club to club deals will be done in probably the last 2 to 3 days of the window.
Well, they'll be complete. They'll be done in the last week, won't they? All, yeah,
everything's just held up there, and it all just happens in that last one. And we're in a very, very good position that we don't have to sell anyone, but we're also in a position where we've got assets, we've got players that probably want to take an opportunity somewhere, but we're not going to let them all go just because they want to go. It's just not how it works. We're a parachute team with a huge amount of money behind us, and we just need to make sure that we ensure that we don't let anyone go until their replacements are lined up. So it just sits like that. And if Amari Hutchinson ends up being here past the end of the window, so be it. He'll have to get his head down and contribute, because he's not going to waste a year of his career just because he wanted to sign for Nottingham Forest, is he? So it's just one of those things. But there's still huge amounts that's going to happen between now and now and the end of the month. So sort of brace yourselves, because it's going to be some real tough days as Ipswich fans. You're going to lose some very, very good players. Potentially, you're going to struggle to get the right ones in. We're going to have games where we haven't quite got what we want in the squad, and we have to sort of go with what is there instead. So it's going to be a real sort of tough month. And until that sort of we're past that early September international break, that's the point where everything should be settled and ready to go from there. But you've just got to make sure you accumulate as many points as you can do before that.
Amen. Dave, I'm going to consolidate two about Bromley here. Andy asks, would you risk Hurst? Would you risk Hurst, easy for me to say, against Bromley, or play Al-Hamidi or a false nine? And there was another one down here that I wanted to ask you as well from Neil. What lessons from Wimbledon match last season will McKenna drum into the squad for Bromley?
Yeah, I mean, similar sort of fixes, I suppose. No, I wouldn't risk Hurst. I don't think.
No,
no way. I don't think he will play. Lessons from the Wimbledon game last year. We'll take better penalties. We lost some penalties, didn't we? Take better penalties. Okay. Didn't we go? Al-Hamidi scored, didn't he? I think we went 1-up, didn't we? Then conceded. I think we went to penalties, didn't it? It did, didn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Can't remember.
No, honestly,
2-2.
Yeah, sorry.
2-2, wasn't it? Al-Hamidi scored first, and then Chapman got a late equaliser.
Chapman got a late. You're right. It did get a pens. So, yeah, I mean, again, whatever side we put out should. No disrespect to Bromley, should be good enough, but you know, who knows? The priority is very much, as we said all along. The priority is very much getting back into Premier League. So they're very much focus on the league, and nice to have a run in the Carling Cup. We've seen that in past seasons. Certainly seasons before last. Nice to get a run in the Carling Cup, get games for the fringe players under their belts.
Carling Cup, the Milk Cup. Milky,
Cup,
like Alex Palmer's kick for a goal.
Littlewood's Cup,
Littlewood.
Coca-Cola Cup. Rumbelows.
Capital One.
Capital
One.
One.
It was Capital One, was it? There you go. All the names of the league.
Of course, you want to see us win games and carry that momentum forward, but not the be all and end all. But yeah, hopefully we'll be good enough to get a win at Bromley with whatever side.
Joe, this is from the excellently named Bloomers over on Twitter as well. You can watch this show live on Twitter. When will Jack Clark catch a break? Plays down the right in pre-season, gets lumped in the left again. We haven't utilised the quality player he is, I feel, for for the lad? When will he get a break, Joe?
I feel for him because he's obviously confidence is sort of rock bottom, and you sort of hope coming back into the Championship would do it. But he looked as weak and ineffective in the Championship as he did in the Premier League last season. So he's got to improve. He's got to be better on the ball when he gets it. And we're not going to set the whole team up so Jack Clark can play off the left and try and win free kicks and penalties and have everything go through him. We're too good a side to do that. And if that's all he's going to be able to do, then he's going to end up just a bang average Championship player who floats around playing for a team that's 7th or 8th and maybe flirts with the playoffs each year. But so that's just what it is.
Dave from Carl, how many players through the door this week? I mean, Joe said, according to Joe, probably none because they'll all be done in the last week of August.
Sure,
and I'm not saying I disagree with Mr. Fez.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, from what we understand, surely Akpom will be done early this week. Surely, for goodness sake. If what we understand, the move is at such an advanced state, it was at an advanced state almost, from what we know, almost a week ago. So you would think, if we're going to sign anyone, he will be through the door in the next couple of days, I would have thought. Other than that,
could be holding that
other than
Dave?
that, who? No, I don't know really. Would it be? I mean, it's coming from Ajax. Would there be any sort of clearance involved there?
I got nothing out of.
Well, if any of that had been holding it up, that would have cleared by now. So
right,
surely.
yeah.
So
or at least first thing tomorrow,
because it was basically agreed on like Tuesday.
Well, from what
was deal on Tuesday. So
the fee. So clearly can't agree terms with the player. Then is what it would surely be. Then wasn't it?
Assuming the medical's been done, which we think it has.
Yeah.
Or this is complete speculation, Joe. Or some moving of goalposts late in the negotiations by a party involved in the transaction to
agent.
Broad as like, for God's sake, Dave, I tiptoed around that quite nicely, didn't I?
No, look, honestly, there must be. It must be personal terms. It's got to be down to that. Yeah, you'd think.
Joe, this one from James. If you sell Amari Hutchinson, how do you spend the 40 million? 3 players at 10 million, or 2 at 15?
Well, you probably don't even spend that much of it, to be fair. I think you'd struggle to spend. But we've obviously got money available because we had best part of 20 million on the table for Hayden Hackney last week that didn't go through. So I don't think it's a necessity that you go out and find a big name replacement for Amari Hutchinson because you're not going to get a player as good as him in this league. It's just not possible. So you just use that to build the squad as best you can. But the money's there if we need to spend it anyway. So it's just finding the right players and getting them in the door.
Can I have a question, Ben? Can I just one question?
Yeah.
Haven't really seen much press this summer about Gus Hamer. Has there been any speculation there at all?
Well,
I'm not saying just us, but anyone in particular.
Sounds
what's
like
going on Twitter? Right, someone inform us. Richard, can you be across this, please? I heard
9 o'clock. We need to go past 9 o'clock then.
Okay, we're getting okay. I'm making an executive decision as the founder of the podcast that we will be going long today if a signing is about to happen. Just quickly on Dave's question to me. So Ahmed Hodzic went last week. Sousa went. We thought they'd have to sell 2 of the 3.
Right.
But I heard from some Blades fans that he'll go as well. But he looked very involved in the pre-match huddle here. Philip says, Ben, you said McKenna's riposte in the post-match presser was rather snappy. Please enlighten us. So I won't break any confidence because I'm sure you can. I think Stuart or Alex record it for the EADT, but Phil Ham used the term, apparently Amari Hutchinson has a throat infection and was very quickly cut off by Kieran McKenna, who said, not apparently, he has a throat infection. He's been ill. And the press conference was then wrapped up rather quickly after that. And I'm sure Phil won't mind me saying his approach to get another question was rebuffed, let's just say. So I think McKenna is pretty fed up of talking about Hutchinson and doubled down. I don't want to say if he's got a throat infection, he's got a throat infection. So, who am I to say otherwise? Has Joe Fairs done his annual crash? He's gone on Twitter, hasn't he, Dave, and gone.
I mean, obviously the club
transfer news.
Obviously, the club were waiting for me to call it on the podcast. Soon as I called it, that was it. Yeah, he's done. That's it. Chuba, yeah, you're okay to sign now. Blue Monday have called it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and McKenna did also say that he was under the impression that everything was tied up for Akpom, and if what we're hearing in the chat, we may be about to.
Yeah, I did log onto Twitter. That's what killed my computer.
I thought it would.
Yeah,
Right.
I haven't got my phone in here.
Blue Monday GoFundMe
it.
to buy Joe a desktop that isn't powered by Steam in 2025.
Brand new one. There's just something. There's some background issue on it, but
a background issue. Can we have a foreground issue on the
background?
Yes, Akpom is signed, so that is good news. Because I think he did say before the Kieran McKenna said before the game on Sky.
Confirmed, Joe? Sorry, has it been announced?
Well, it's been announced now, the second, but there's a video of him putting a shirt on, basically. So
that's good enough. Nothing on TWTD yet, other than Muric possibly going on loan.
Yeah, I did the clever step of taking all social media off my iPad, so I didn't have to read horrible comments about my face, my hair, and things I say about football. So I literally can't get on Twitter unless I re-download the app. But yeah, it sounds like we are there. So am I going with this properly then? Am I about to ask David Diamond?
14 seconds ago, Chuba's through the door.
Right. Okay. On Joe Fair's say so then, I'm going to ask David Diamond, what do you think about the arrival of Chuba Akpom to Ipswich Town? Start your clip there, Rich, yeah?
Yeah, Championship, obviously very much proven at this level for Borough and others. Championship, experience. Went to been obviously experienced at Ajax, top team over in the Netherlands. Got goals in him, physicality. Seeing more of a, not a 9 though necessarily, seeing more of a perhaps slightly withdrawn, maybe more of a 10 Akpom. But just what we need really. Further experience through the door and just going to add strength and quality to the squad, isn't it? And that's exactly what we need. Good signing.
Joe, talk to me about Chuba.
Yeah. The club is excited to announce the signing of striker Chuba Akpom on a season-long loan from Ajax. I was really excited when I heard of the interest. I'm delighted to have joined the club with such big ambitions.
Can't wait to get started.
I watch a lot of football and I've always thought it would suit my style, so this move makes perfect sense. Lots of good experience over the last few years at Ajax and playing in the Champions League with Lille, and I feel like all of these have improved me as a player and helped me be the person I am now. So I think one of the key things which you'll be all over on your sort of Championship side is that Middlesbrough team under Michael Carrick, where he came in quite late in the season and they were the best team in the league until the end of it and just lost in the playoffs. He scored something like 28 goals in 34 starts in the league.
So we've now got, Joe, 2 of the last 3 Golden Boot winners in our squad.
Hopefully by the end of the season it'll be 3 or 4.
Are we signing Hero as well, are we?
No, we'll leave him out.
George.
And so he was a 10. It was sort of him and Cameron Archer were almost playing as sort of Cameron Archer was a 9 and he was the one off it, sort of similar how Sammy Smolix has been playing with that. So maybe that will free up Nathan Broadhead's move to go ahead now, if Philogene injury isn't too bad, or Amari Hutchinson or someone else. But yeah, this is one we've obviously wanted for a long time. A really good player at this level, and who's proven at this level, gone away, done well. He's going to come in. He'll know all about Kieran McKenna from Michael Carrick. So it's just another one through the door and good signing.
From up the road as well, isn't he? East London, I think.
Yeah,
East
like
London
Ewan,
boy, I
isn't
think.
he? Yeah.
What's your take then on the depth then, Dave, in respects of, so Hurst, I suppose it's quite a clever signing in respects of Hurst is definitely a number 9 and you don't really want him to be playing number 10. Smolix can do both, but seems to prefer the 10. Akpom can do both, but seems to prefer the 10. So do you see it like that there's 3 players there? And I mean, I haven't talked about Chaplin there, and I'm sure Broadhead and Hutchinson might be moot points. But do you see the depth being like that in terms of goal scoring?
Yeah, absolutely. There's certainly loads of goals there. And do you think perhaps that might now hurry along? Maybe, but I hate to say it, Ben, I know you love the goal. We all do. Broadhead's, departure, perhaps. Do you think perhaps that is a bit of a catalyst for that potentially?
Well, it was the question I just asked Joe. Deals on the table, all ready to go. Yeah. I'll say to the chat now, go and head over to the Wrexham Twitter.
Absolutely. And
Do you
look,
know
I
what I mean? Yeah.
I think I had a chat before with Joe off air that Akpom, I don't think it was any, given what we understand, that perhaps we were first alerted to Akpom's availability. Maybe that's not true by the fact that that he was very much on Birmingham's hit list. And seemingly we gate crashed the deal. Whether that's correct or not, I don't know. Seemingly gate crashed the deal. Perhaps no surprise that he wasn't announced before the game on Friday. So yeah, just a good sign and great, and hopefully the first of a few in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, right. Just too complicated to get done before Friday, given that Middlesbrough are in as well, Joe.
Yeah, but potentially we'll never know. I'm sure they'll say they've done it as quickly as they can. I'm sure they have done it as quickly as they can. So it's one of those. But I think when you look back at the League One season that we had, and our sort of striking options there ended up sort of like George Hurst and Freddie Ladapo as 2 9s rotating. And we also had like Tyrese John Jules there who could play as that 9, but could also play in any of the 2 or 3 behind the strike as well. So I think maybe Chuba Akpom also fits into that role as well. So he can effectively be a backup 9 or a rotation 9 plus a starting 10, which probably helps us because we've only got 25 to play with. Last year we had 27 because Liam Delap and Amari Hutchison were under 21. So we were able to get that extra couple of bodies in the squad, where now we're going to need a little bit more versatility to cover that. So I think Chuba Akpom's really, really good in that regard, and probably will know how we play. I still think you've got Ali Al-Hamidi, who I thought did well actually on Friday. I know he had a couple of slips, but I thought he showed good intensity, got up and down the line well, made a little bit of a difference, made things happen. But I think it now frees you up to maybe lose Ali and replace him with a sort of real top-end 9. If you can get Ivanovic out of Millwall, for example, and have Ivanovic and Hurst as a 2 9s, and then Akpom as a third one if you need him, but could be a 10 as well, where we normally end up sort of with lots of options.
And also, I think it showed a bit on Friday. Akpom will give us a bit more physicality as well, won't he? Definitely in that role.
Yeah, as in over Smodics.
But similar. So with Smodics, isn't there?
Smodics has got good physicality in terms of pressing.
Yeah. But I think Akpom.
Talking about size.
Yes, exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, size and presence, really. Yeah. Yeah,
understood. So, Dave, what is your take on the kind of structuring of it? Joe, am I right? Is there anything said? So it's a loan. Is there an obligation or an option to buy it?
It hasn't mentioned it on the Ipswich website, but they never tend to. So you'll need to see what effectively the super journos, the Ornsteins and those guys are saying about this deal. But it seemed to have been agreed that there was going to be an obligation fee of €7 million if we do go up.
What's your take on? I mean, we've had this discussion a few times, Dave. Just get promoted. Worry about the league you're in. Do you know what I mean?
Ben, exactly right. And just get promoted first, and let everything just take care of it. Take care of itself. That's all you can. That's how you deal with it, isn't it?
And I think there's a talk, like, because obviously we've got Cedric Keepray and Jens Kajust in the same position. So we're now going to have 3 players on loan when we're only allowed 5. So that does hamstring us a little bit in that regard for it. But it also means if we don't get promoted this season, you've only got one more year. You've only got one more year of parachute payments, haven't you?
Sorry to interrupt, Joe. What's the obligation on Kajust if we get promoted? Do you know what the amount is?
It's €6.5 million.
Yeah, similar.
So I think
that's the thing that bothered me, Joe, when Burnley went up, and all of a sudden you read the numbers, and they were having to pay €30 million just to obligations on Jadon Anthony and Marcus Edwards, and I think there was another. Who's the left back, Joe, from Chelsea?
Bashir Humphreys.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of thought, oh God, is that a bit of spend mortgaged too early? But I've just said to Dave,
if the 3 are what they report, if the 3 are as they reported, I think it's about €15 million for 3 players there. It's not a lot of money. It's 12 million quid. That's one of the signs we made this year, and they will have value that you could just flip them straight away if you wanted to. If they weren't the right player, if they hadn't settled correctly, you probably could just move them straight on and move them out on loan and get it covered up. But I think it's good, because if we don't go up this year, next year will be a year 2 parachute club, but that'll be our last year of parachute payment. So you can just sort of send them all back and plan for the next season that way without having these guys on 3-4 year contracts on big money.
Yeah, fair comment. Dave, talk to me about preferred front 4s, and I'll let you discard Mr. Broadhead and Mr. Hutchinson. What do you like? I know you can argue, try this in this game, and depending on this opposition, do this. But who was it? Ian Wright. I remember Ian Wright always arguing with Kelly Cates on 606. No, you have your best 11. If you had a cup final tomorrow, every manager knows what's my best 11. What do you like for a front four, Dave?
Well, I suppose to fit and fine, you've got Hurst up top. Hurst is going to be the focal point this season, and he's clearly up for it. And fingers crossed, wood touch. Let's hope he has a great season. No, if he stays injury free, should be absolutely superb. I mean, look, you pay 20 million. What we paid 20 million for Philogene. You really want Jack Clark to come good, and I'm sure he will. Joe said at the start of the show he got swallowed up on Friday, didn't he? I think he wasn't alone in that. And it's just going to be who plays in that role, as Smodics and Akpom or the Chaplin. Chaplin done, I thought, brilliantly when he came off. Brilliantly, much better. He looked much better when Chaplin came off. He gives you that balance. He came off the bench the other night. So yeah, it's going to be, as you said, that sort of 10 role is going to be the one that's going to be, I guess, the one up for the most competition, especially if Broadhead goes. But again, depends who else we get in, of course.
Can I play devil's advocate with you, David, quickly before I go to Joe? I'm just doing some very quick maths. Akpom and Archer in 62 appearances for Middlesbrough together got 47 goal contributions between them. So, and I've just said they're 2 Golden Boot winners. I know you like your focal point. I know you like your George Hurst up there, but is there any reality? I'm just throwing it out there. Is there any reality in Akpom and Smodics?
I don't think so. No. I think McKenna's got total trust in Hurst, and I just don't see it. I think Hurst leads the line this season if he's fit and if he's fit and firing, he leads the line, no questions this season. Okay. He's not going to change that, I don't think.
So I'm going to go all Jim White here, and I'll now play devil's advocate with you, Joe, because you very wisely once on the pod said, no, you don't want to sign Cole Stockton because look at the trend of his career, and that one season is a big outlier. And I can see that with my own eyes. Is Chuba Akpom's season in the Championship of Middlesbrough a big outlier?
Well, it is a big outlier. There's no getting away from that. But when you're talking 28 goals in 34 starts, it's a ludicrous outlier. But
it's a Daryl Murphy 14-15 outlier.
If you get 17 goals in 34 starts, that's a really, really good return. So he's not going to score 30 goals a season. He's not going to score at that rate. But if you can get a good amount of goals out of him, and I think we will, he knows how this team plays because it's very, very similar to how that Middlesbrough side played under Michael Carrick there. So yeah, so it's a really, really exciting sign in that regard. But I guess one person you might worry about is Connor Chaplin. What role is he going to play here? If you've got Sammy Smodics playing the 10, now Chuba Akpom playing in that sort of central 10, where does that leave Connor Chaplin, who we all thought did well at the weekend, did well on Friday? Is Connor Chaplin going to want to stay if he's going to be relegated a spot further down in that role? He's got massive professional pride. He'll want to be playing week in, week out. So I know there's talk of Broadhead, talk for Murray, but yeah, I'd worry about Chaplin now.
Just before Dave comes back on that, sorry, Dave, in the chat, get your reactions in. I want to know your thoughts on Akpom arriving. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, Joe's quite right about Chaplin. It would just be sad to see. I mean, look, football evolves, as we know, season, like month to month, let alone season upon season. But if it did and that did happen, it'd just be sad to see Chaplin go. And also Broadhead would most likely will go. Just 2 more from that, from that League One side. Really, really, really sad. Just one question I had. I can't recall. Where did that Middlesbrough team? What happened to that Middlesbrough? Did they lose in the playoffs that season?
Yeah. So Joe's right. They were excellent. So Burnley got 100 points and won it. Sheffield United kind of bullied their way into second place. And I totally agree with Joe. From the point Carrick came in October, November, they played beautiful vertical attacking football, but playoff tournament football, as you hear me like a bloody broken record every year, Mark Robbins outdid Michael Carrick, who'd only been managing for 3/4 of a season. And he literally sat there and said, right, I've got 9 players to stop you scoring, and I've got Hamer and Gyökeres. And they drew 0-0. Yeah. And then Gyökeres set up Hamer in the and they won the away game. So yeah, he just didn't quite remember when we would lose to Burley, would lose to Howard Kendall, and then Alan Kirbishley, and then Colin Todd or whoever. It kind of, that's what happened. And we could be sat here, though. I don't know if you agree with this, Joe. We could be sat here in a reality if they'd just won that semi-final. I mean, hey, maybe they'd have got Luton in the final, whereby Michael Carrick is still in the Premier League with Middlesbrough. If he just, that sliding doors moment. Although the Borough fans were not impressed with his work last season, let's just say. Right, plenty of comments in the chat here. Sam there. Let's have that one again, please, Rich. Sorry, mate. I think this will be the best signing this summer for us. You think there's any mileage in that in terms of impact there, Joe?
Well, I think we need the best signing of the summer to be Azor Matasiwa, because he's got such big boots to fill. And if we're sitting here in 8 months and saying he was the best signing of the summer, then we've probably got promoted well, because he's totally dominated that midfield. But I just think there'll be a couple of big ones still to come, because we haven't spent a huge amount yet, but we know there's money there to spend if we want to. But I still think people will be surprised at the level of targets we're going for. And as it gets nearer to the end of the window, we'll get a couple of them over the line.
Ben, just quickly, on that Middlesbrough side, would that have been Hackney's breakthrough season or not?
Do you know what? It was. And Chris Wilder and Joe, who was the assistant? The guy from the northeast with the funny foreign-sounding name, but and then he took the team before Carrick came. Wilder picked him, and then someone will tell me in the chat who took Borough between Wilder and Carrick. It's a northeastern bloke who's got a foreign-sounding name. I think he's a goalkeeping coach. And yeah, that was when he broke through. But then, of course, Michael Carrick was such a beautiful central midfielder that he gets all the credit. But Wilder actually brought him through. Speaking of ex-Middlesbrough managers, Joe, you didn't happen to catch Neil Warnock deliberately say a couple of times in an interview with Natalie Sawyer the other day, oh, well, Ipswich are going for Akpom and I earn him at Borough, and thank you, Rich, and Leo Perkovic, yeah. So then he started him in the caretaker reign, if memory serves. Oh yeah, I didn't fancy Akpom. So Warnock didn't get on with him, Joe.
Yeah, well, I think Carrick's relationship is more important than Neil Warnock's relationship with him, with regards to see what Kieran McKenna will get out of him, because Kieran McKenna, like I say, we know him and Michael Carrick are very close, so he'll know everything there is to know about him from that side of it there. And yeah, Neil Warnock, I'm sure there's a lot of players that he hasn't got the best out of, but there's obviously a huge number of players that he has got the best out of. But I don't think there's any middle line for him. He probably doesn't have time to, if he doesn't think you're going to work for him, he's just going to bin you off and get someone else in to replace him, which he probably wanted to do with Chuba Akpom, which he didn't want to do with Sam Morsey, but was forced to at that point to let him come to us. So I think at sort of most of Warnock's reign at Millwall I think he was quite frustrated by who he had to keep and who he had to sell.
Middlesbrough, you said Millwall there.
At Middlesbrough, yeah, sorry.
He had that. Is it Keith Scott or Kevin Scott doing all the transfers above his head? I think. Yeah,
Kieran Scott.
Kieran, thank you. Keith, Kevin, Kieran, Chris, whoever. Dave Norman says, with Akpom in, does that mean that's a fair question, isn't it? Because I said to Joe 20 minutes ago, what is holding up all these deals? Could you now literally just, I'm sure people have asked and mentioned it, could you now literally in the next 24 hours, could we be on here talking emergency pod lights up, Hutchinson's gone and Broadhead? I mean, Broadhead seems further on, doesn't it?
Broadhead does seem further on, but you've got to think if Forest come in with, if it is Forest and they come in with something circa 40 million, then he's gone, isn't he? Of course he's gone. Yeah. And look, McKenna always comes across as a sort of honest guy, throat infection. Ooh, I don't know. Just seems far too convenient, doesn't it? So you would think there was a bit of protecting the asset there. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
If the professor says he's got a throat infection, Dave,
well,
he's got a throat infection.
I did see him down at the chemist earlier today, actually.
See? Did he have it?
I hate going to the chemist. I always feel like I'm in trouble. I've done something wrong. I haven't bought the right thing. I'm always collecting something from my missus as well. And I don't know. I feel, Yeah, I
Had
don't.
had a
Did you see him-
COVID mask on.
Did you see him walk out with a family pack of Strepsils, Joe, or anything like
Yeah,
that?
a big box of them. Yeah.
It's a bit like going to the chemist. You kind of don't quite know what you're supposed to do, and you always get admonished by somebody, don't you?
Yeah. If you wait for a prescription, it's over there, not here. It's over there.
There it is.
Prescription.
The thing is with Hutchinson, I do think the club, with the lapse release clause, they do need to show that they're not a soft touch on transfers as well.
Yeah.
We were sort of put into a corner with that Delap transfer that we had to sell him for much under his market value. We're not going to allow clubs to think that they can do that to us just because we sold Delap cheap, that they'll get Amari cheap. He's going to cost what he's going to cost. And if people aren't going to pay it, then we'll happily welcome him back into the fold.
What did I put up there, Joe? This is from FPL Tracked. I think our first... Why can't I read tonight? It's been a long day. I think our current first choice front four, to be fair, that one was difficult as well, wasn't it? Is Hurst, Philogene, Akpom, Ogbene, Joe.
I'd hope that we'd end up, well, Hurst. At the moment, I'd probably say Hurst, Philogene, Smodics, or Akpom, and Hutchinson on the right, isn't it? While he's still here, he is going to be. I just don't. I think the way we're going to play this year, with how possession dominant we're going to be, I don't think that Ogbene is the greatest fit for it. And I think it's going to take quite a while for Ogbene to get right up to speed. But is he going to be really good in those sort of little 1v1 battles when he's got a man standing up and he's sort of standing short in front of him and he's got to make a move? I don't know if he's got that to his game. He's very much the one with a Connor Chaplin turning the ball in, but sort of round the corner behind the left back for him to run onto it. And I don't know if there's going to be a huge amount of space for that. So I'm interested to see how Ogbene plays out this year.
Ben, tell us that Jack Clark's going to come good, isn't he? At this level, come on, surely.
I do agree with. I'm agreeing with Joe far too much tonight, apart from the Kyogo and Greaves thing. But I do agree with him that this is a far more balanced team than Jack Clark had at Sunderland.
Yeah.
In that he was the main guy, switched the play to him. And the other time I've really seen Jack Clark at it, Bielsa was his manager and Pablo Hernandez was 20 metres away from him, which kind of attracts about 50 players towards him. And then, okay, the loan to Sunderland in League One, yeah, fine. But he went on loan to QPR. People forget that. And
Forgot that.
Yeah, after he'd gone to Spurs, he went to Spurs for a load of money. So it's been up and down. And a lot of the Leeds fans used to tell me about Clark. Do you remember? I think he possibly collapsed or something on the bench for Leeds up at Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Leeds fans said, "Oh, he's never quite right at Leeds." I mean, obviously he regained.
He didn't really play again after that for Leeds.
No, yeah, he didn't. And you know what Bielsa was like once he got in an idea in his head, he just doubled and trebled down. And then they had to sell him just to basically keep Calvin Effin Phillips the next season and to get Ben White and get promoted, basically. So
he went to Spurs, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or did he go to Spurs? Yeah.
It's a great deal for Leeds, to be fair. Where was I going? Sorry. So you'd hope so, Dave. It's not a guarantee.
I mean, here's the thing: do we do a 180? Would it be surprised someone came in with a cheeky bid for him and he?
Oh, it'd only be going back to Sunderland or Leeds, wouldn't it? Yeah, surely.
Yeah, because I'm in a sort of another group chat with a lot of Sunderland fans. They're like, "Oh, you're just not getting the best out of him. You need to play him on the left, get him tight to touchline, give him space." And I think, well, we did that with Philogene all through pre-season, and the space is there, but you can't just. He's got to earn that spot in the team, and sort of basically picking up the ball and losing it every time, which he did on Friday. You're not going to get a space in the team. And I said I wouldn't play him. I thought him and Ben Johnson, both of them, I thought were very, very poor on Friday, and didn't sort of have anything that would make me want to start them again anytime soon.
Yeah. Keep your questions coming. We are, because I'm very OCD ridden, we're going to go till 9:30. So we're going to do another 5 minutes here on the announcement that Chuba Akpom, Championship Golden Boot winner in the 22-23 season, former Ajax, Lille, PAOK Thessaloniki, Arsenal, I've heard of them, Brighton, Hull, Forest, Coventry's been here, there and everywhere, online player, has joined Ipswich Town on a loan until the end of the season with, we think, what was the number, Joe? €7 million?
$7 million. TWTD has it as £7 million, but
£7 million. Okay. With an obligation then at the end of the season. Get your comments in on Akpom's role. Get your questions in for Dave and Joe. Dave, I've got a bit of a horrible one for you. Would you rather predict how many goals Akpom's going to score, how many games he's going to start out of the remaining 45? But seriously, the guys are struggling to piece together, and you were very firm on your answer to me that no, Hurst is number 9, and then it's someone else around there. So does that mean he actually, out of 45, starts that many? And if he hasn't had a pre-season as well, maybe he's not going to start for couple of weeks?
No, maybe not. But as Joe said, if someone like him, who is a proven, who has been, albeit the one great season at that level, if someone like him can chip in with 10, so say 10 goals even, and you share other goals around, we're going to be thereabouts, aren't we? He's going to have an impact. It's a good signing. It basically improves, as it stands, it basically improves the depth of the squad, is what we need, and. It leaves McKenna with a nice well, at this moment in time, quite a big dilemma with Hutchinson still there and Broadhead still there, but as we know, they're not likely to be. But a nice dilemma to have at this moment in time. But we still need 2 or 3 others through the door as well.
Yes, and also just looking back at his stats for the last few seasons, so sort of like 21-22, he went to PAOK in the Greek League and across the Conference League and the Greek Championship, scored 9 goals in 27 starts. Then the following year at Middlesbrough was 29 goals in 36 starts across all competitions. Then went to Ajax, and first season there was 14 goals in 10 starts, but obviously a huge amount more sub minutes than that. But really, his whole time at Ajax, it was the equivalent of 50, basically a goal a game in all, per 90 minutes, but he obviously didn't play a huge amount, because if you score a goal a game but you only start 10 and you come on as sub and you have a 25 games, there's obviously a reason for that. And then at Lille last year, it was 3 goals in 6 starts, but 8, 9, 10 sub appearances, and then 4 goals for Ajax in the first half of the season in 10 starts and 14 sub appearances. So his goal record has held up at Ajax and at Lille, but he hasn't played a huge amount there. So it does make you sort of, the concern would be about his all-round game and what he's bringing there. Because why, if he's scoring goals at a decent tick, still is he not playing? And like I say, I know a couple of people who are Ajax fans, and they say their main thing that they had last week was just sort of an amazement that they had 2 clubs fighting over him to come to them and sort of getting their money back. So they made a really bad deal on that. Effectively, they paid sort of like 12-13 million quid for him, gave him a massive contract, where off the back of a fantastic championship season, maybe he wasn't quite good enough for the sort of the levels of European football they want to play, but I think he's certainly going to be good enough for us. And if he can carry on with that goal record here, you almost don't worry about the sort of the rest of his game, do you?
I'm just looking at that season to see if I can find any patterns. Not that many doubles and hat-tricks. He scored in 23 different games. Wow. He did also score against Burnley and against Sheffield United. So he scored against the teams that finished above Middlesbrough. Oh, Luton actually finished 3rd that season, didn't they? I think Borough were 4th, and Luton snuck into 3rd right at the end. There's a run at the end of the season, Dave, where he scores 15 goals in 15 games.
Yeah, that'll do. I mean,
and he scores Dave, and he scores in 13 out of the 15 games as well.
I have to confess, I can't recall many of his goals. Can you remember many of his goals? Are these box goals? Are these poacher goals? Are these in the box, outside the box, head, all sorts?
Yes, he scored against Norwich to that question.
It's a bit of everything, Dave, isn't it? When you score that many goals, you have to score.
It must be, yeah. It has to be.
Goals, don't you? Yeah. And if you watch, there was a, I guess Henry helped put together, but on the Sky transfer page, there was a video. There is a YouTube Sky video, all Akpom's goals from this season, and it is a total mix, but it's worth watching that too.
I decided that, Ben. Assists as well?
I think there was only a couple in there. I think, sorry, let me just get foot mob. I think there was only 2 assists in there, but he linked up. I could be wrong about that, actually. Sorry, let me just check that again.
2 assists in the league that year.
Yeah, he did link up very well with Cameron Archer. It was the idea that, and to be fair, not wanting to do horrible name drops, that was the season I was working at the ITV show, and I had ex-player, ex-manager telling me how good those two were every week with those.
And they played as a pair, yeah? They played.
Well, I mean, Joe, I don't know what your take is, but it was always down, and Sean did a really good bit in our Telegram group. It was always down as Archer was the striker and Akpom was 10. But if you look at heat maps, it was pretty fluid, Joe. Is that what Sean...
Well, I think Archer's was always higher than him. So Archer was the focal point, but I guess he's the one laying it off.
He's the runner in behind, isn't he? And sorry to interrupt you, Joe. I literally just asked you a question and interrupt you. A lot of it was bringing in, they had Ramsey from Villa and Giles down there. So a lot of it was, he was like the fulcrum bringing in all of those players, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say quite similar to the sort of Conor Chaplin role when he played when we were in League One, where you're dropping in, you're getting the ball, you're playing it to the wide men, and then you're the one getting on the end of the chance as well.
Unbelievable scenes, guys. We've gone really, really long because we have announced Chuba Akpom has signed for Ipswich Town. This dropped at 9 p.m. So Dave and Joe just giving their immediate reactions over this past half hour. We are going to call it quits there, but the chat will continue over on Telegram. If you're not a paid up member there, you can get a 2-week subscription. And I'm sure... if you sign up for Blue Monday Top Tier, that work that Sean has done, he's going to be one of our bloggers. We'll try and get him to write that up so we can get some real good data on Akpom if you really want to know the minutiae of him being a 9 or a 10. There we go. Off the cuff for the last half hour. I suppose, does that completely change your sign-off here then, Joe? What were you going to say half an hour ago to end the pod?
I don't know. I normally only think about it in the 3 seconds between you asking and me saying it, to be fair. But no. Well, I'm going to Bromley on Tuesday. It'll be a new ground for me. There's not many of those to tick off at the moment. So
do you think Mick's going to be down there? He lives that way, doesn't he?
Yeah, he might pop down and see us in the away end, sort of give us the thumbs up like he used to at Norwich away. Till we go from there. No, but I'm looking forward, and obviously this adds an element of who's going to play, and it was always going to be, I think it's going to be difficult for us to do what we normally do there, which is change all 11 players. So it'll be interesting to see what team we put out there now, and hopefully get a win and get another tie ahead of us.
Unbelievable. Dave, talk to me. Your 8:59 sign off as opposed to
no, mate. I can say I'm feeling it. I can fit 3 weeks. I've just saw 3 weeks tonight. 31st of August, 1 minute to 9, Hayden Hackney. I'll call it now.
Willie, stop it. I've spoken enough about Hayden
calling
Hackney
it now.
Last a bloody lifetime. Dear oh me. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hopefully, with no preparation or research whatsoever, we've managed to talk accurately and adequately about Chuba Akpom and his arrival. There was obviously a game on Friday, and that's how fast this stuff moves, isn't it? I mean, Joe was saying, it's done, move on from it. And then someone comes in the door and the landscape from that moment on then completely changes. And we move forward into round 2 in the remaining 45 games. Loads of great stuff for you this week. As I said, your normal free-to-air shows. You can hear from Craig and Joe on Wednesday for the news show. Rich and Seb. Actually, I think Rich corrected me. I think Seb's very selfishly having another week on holiday. So it's going to be Rich and Mikey. And then me, Dave and Joe will be back on Sunday for the flagship. And behind the paywall, we've got Beyond the Scoreline with Oscar and Harry tomorrow. The weekend preview with Henry and George on Friday. And hopefully we'll get a blog about Chuba Akpom as well as the other ones that we're going to go up. My God, I need a rest. Hour and a half. Hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you for another week of wonderful Blue Monday content. Welcome, Akpom.